sounds good? Okay. Srinam Radha, anything you need to tell me, put it in the chat. Okay? Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Gopi Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Ramana Haribo Jai Jai 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 Radha Ramana Haribo Radha Ramana Haribo Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Marana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya Govinda Hari Gopala Hari Gopala Hari Govinda Hari Jaya Rama Hari Jaya Krishna Hari Jaya Krishna Hari Jaya Rama Hari Hari Haraye Namaha Hari Haraye Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana Hari Haraye Namaha Hari Haraye Namaha Hari Haraye Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana Gopala Govinda Ram Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jam Vishnupad Paramahansa, Paribrajacharya Astotra Satta Siman, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai, Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamukunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Yamuna Devi Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So tonight we are going to Vrindavan. Krishna does his Leela in 3 dhams, beginning with Mathura Dham, where Krishna appears, and then is quickly transferred to Gokula Braja Dham, and then he goes back to Mathura, and then the rest of the pastimes are in Dwaraka as a householder. But tonight, we are going to Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavana, Sri Govinda, Gopinath, Madana Mohana. So in Vrindavan, in the progressive stages of bhakti, you worship Krishna first as Madan Mohan, the attractor of Cupid. Why do we worship Krishna in that way? Because the beginning is we have to lose our attraction for Maya. We have to lose our attraction for enjoying the material energy. And therefore we need something more powerful than Maya. And that is Madan Mohan, Krishna, the attractor of Cupid. So the first stage, Sambandha. Sambandha means re-establishing the forgotten relationship of eternal service with Krishna. So the first stage of worshiping Krishna in Vrindavan, Madan Mohan. Then, when one is convinced that I am the eternal servant of Krishna, the next question should be, now that I accept this position, what is my duty? What should I do? How should I act? And therefore, one worships Govinda, the wonderful cowherder boy who gives pleasure to the transcendental senses, who gives pleasure to this land of Brajadam, and whose first business, Go Brahmana Hitayacha. Krishna's first protection is for the cows. Second is Brahmanas, but first protection is the cows. So Govinda is called the functional deity. We worship the form of Govinda when we enter the stage of Abhideya, or practical devotional service, which is ordered by the spiritual master. The spiritual master engages the disciple in practical activities of devotional service. That is called Abhideya. Primarily, Abhideya means hearing and chanting about Krishna. All activities are centered around hearing and chanting about Krishna. Therefore, this monthly program we do is essential. Therefore, you should tell everyone, nobody should miss this program. It is essential if we want to progress in our spiritual life. So, everyone should attend. And I'm not going to say anything about those who are not, but pass the word. Everyone should attend. There are so many other days that you can do so many other things. Once a month, you can attend this program. Now, the final stage of worshiping Krishna in Vrindavan, Sri Govinda, Gopinath, 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 Gopinath. As you see behind me, there is Vrindavan. Krishna is there. You see the Yamuna River. You see the gopis. The moon has risen, it's the dead of night. Rasa Leela is going on. So Gopinath, the Lord of the Gopis, that is the final stage of worshiping Krishna in Vrindavan. The ultimate feature of Krishna, either as Gopinath or Gopi Janna Vallabha, another synonym, Gopi Janna Vallabha. So on that platform, that is called prayojana, the fruit, the result of doing practical devotional service. There is a fruit. That fruit is called prayojana, love of God. Love of God means dealing with Krishna one-to-one, personal. In the beginning, Krishna is worshipped distant. But once you reach the stage of prayojana, now your relationship with Krishna is more compact, more intimate, more one-on-one. That is the ultimate feature. So this is the meaning. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Sri Govinda Gopinath, Madana Mohana. So there is this very nice section in Krishna book. Krishna book is Prabhupada's summary translation of Dashamakanda, 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. That Krishna book, you know the story, I've told it 100,000 times. Krishna book made me what I am today, convinced me to surrender to Krishna. That book is so powerful, and for those interested, I have recorded and narrated the entire Krishna book. It's on narantara.com. It's on my website, free of charge. So go there and hear my wonderful narration of Krishna book. Took me about a year to complete. So there's this nice section in the 10th canto. And this first scene, there are two scenes. The first scene, the gopis remember Krishna. If you are ready, then repeat after me. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. So let us begin. First, we have to offer respects to Srila Prabhupada, who has given us this wonderful Krishna book. Without Srila Prabhupada, we would be nothing. Scene 1. The gopis remember Krishna. Krishna was very pleased with the atmosphere of the forest, where flowers bloomed and the bees and drones hummed very jubilantly. And while the birds, trees, and branches were all looking very happy, Krishna, tending the cows, accompanied by Sri Balaram and the other cowherder boys, began to vibrate his transcendental flute. So that's the first point. Krishna's flute is transcendental. We understand that there are 3 different kinds of flutes of Krishna. Some short, medium, some long. And they have different number of holes in them. But the main thing to understand, this kind of flute cannot be bought in Loi Bazaar or any other place in India. This is a transcendental flute that is found in the spiritual world. And after hearing the vibration of the flute of Krishna, the gopis in Vrindavan remembered him and began to talk amongst themselves about how nicely Krishna was playing his flute. To me, this idea that God is a musician is very attractive, because I like to see myself as a musician. But where else do you hear that God is also a musician? I never heard of such a thing until I came to Krishna. And I thought, oh, this Krishna, he's cool. God plays a flute? Wow, this is a cool God. He's not some old man with a beard who can't do anything. No, he plays a flute. That's my kind of God. The gopis in Vrindavan remembered him and began to talk among themselves. When the gopis were describing the sweet vibration of Krishna's flute, they also remembered their pastimes with him, and thus their minds became disturbed, and they were unable to describe completely the beautiful vibration. So, this is interesting, that by hearing the sound of Krishna's flute, as a result, they remembered their previous pastimes with him. So that same thing will result when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By chanting, we will be reminded by Krishna of so many things. So this chanting process is very mysterious and also very transcendental. Never we should think that chanting japa is some kind of material activity. No. Chanting japa is a transcendental activity. While discussing the transcendental vibration, they remembered also how Krishna dressed, decorated with a peacock feather on his head, just like a dancing actor, and with blue flowers pushed over his ears. His garment glowed yellow gold, and he was garlanded with the Vaijayanti necklace. Dressed in such an attractive way, Krishna filled up the holes of his flute with the nectar emanating from his lips. And just as a side note, Lord Chaitanya one time was asking his associates, "You have all now just eaten some nice Mahaprasad. And these ingredients that you have all tasted before, yogurt and spices and misri." So Lord Chaitanya said, "But why is it this particular preparation tastes so wonderful?" They all admitted that this tasted such special. So people were giving their opinion, and Lord Chaitanya said, "No. The reason why this Mahaprasad tastes so good is because it is actually mixed with Krishna's saliva, the secret ingredient of Mahaprasad." Meaning, when you offer Krishna patrang pushpam palang toyam, yome bhaktya. When you offer with devotion, Krishna will actually eat it. And Prabhupada used to tell us, if Krishna eats once from your hand, your life is perfect. So go on with your daily offerings to Krishna and become more and more advanced. Offer your food to Krishna and become advanced, because you're eating food mixed with Krishna's saliva. So nectar comes from Krishna's lips. And so the gopis remembered Krishna entering the forest of Vrindavan, which is always glorified by the footprints of Krishna and his companions. So not only is Krishna glorious, but Krishna's companions are also glorious. Just think, to be able to be with Krishna day after day after day after day means you are especially qualified. Not just anybody can do that. You have to become very, very qualified. And if you chant, and if you offer your food to Krishna, one day you too will join these pastimes. Krishna and Balaram carried binding ropes on their shoulders and in their hands, just like ordinary cowherder boys. While milking the cows, the boys would bind the hind legs with a small rope. And this rope almost always hung from the shoulders of the boys, and it was not absent on the shoulders of Krishna and Balaram. In spite of their being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they played exactly like cowherder boys, and therefore everything became wonderful and attractive. So yes, Krishna likes to play. That is the meaning of Leela. You want a definition of Leela? Play. Just like young boys and girls. When they're young, they don't want to go to school. They want to play all day. I was the same way. Who wants to go to stupid school? We want to play. So Krishna, as a young cowherder boy, loves to play. Everything Krishna does is a play. He's enjoying. Prabhupada once said, even when Krishna is killing some demon, it's nonchalant. It's like no problem. He's enjoying. He's having fun, even when he's killing a demon. While Krishna was engaged in tending the cows in the forest of Vrindavan or on Govardhan Hill, the gopis in the village were always absorbed in thinking of him and discussing his different pastimes. So now Prabhupada will comment on what we just read, especially this last part. I'll reread it. While Krishna was engaged in tending the cows in the forest, the gopis in the village were always absorbed in thinking of him and discussing his different pastimes. So Prabhupada comments, this is the perfect example of Krishna consciousness, to somehow or other remain always engrossed in thoughts of Krishna. The vivid example is always present in the behavior of the gopis. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya declared, no one can worship the Supreme Lord by any method which is better than the method done by the gopis. The gopis were not born in very high Brahmana or Kshatriya families. They were born in the families of Vaishyas, and not in big mercantile communities, but in the families of cowherder men. They were not very well educated, although they heard all sorts of knowledge from the Brahmanas, who are the authorities of Vedic knowledge. The gopis' only purpose was to remain always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. So this is exactly what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Twice, at the end, the final verse of chapter 9, and towards the end of chapter 18, what does Krishna say? Hopefully, if you've studied Bhagavad Gita, you will know the two shlokas I'm going to chant. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. There it is, manmana, always think of me. The gopis were always thinking of Krishna, so we can follow in their footsteps. How? By chanting the Maha Mantra. Let's all do it together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada writes in the Gita that if you want to remember Krishna, you must chant and practice this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on your beads every day, not just one day a week. Every day you must practice chanting. In chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita, there is the section which I call Krishna's options. And the first option Krishna gives, just think of me. So when Lord Chaitanya says, There's no better method of gopis, because that's all they do is remember Krishna. And you'll see there is one episode where Radharani and the gopis are actually complaining that even if we try to forget Krishna, we can't do it. That is called pure Krishna consciousness. This Krishna causes us too much anxiety. We should stop thinking of him, but we can't. Why? As it was mentioned, all attractive. Krishna's name, all attractive. When something is attractive, you can't stop. It's attracting you like a magnet. The magnet gets close to the metal. So that's the way the minds of pure devotees are. Immediately attracted to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I promised a special song, and Sakhi Stali in particular loves this song. So it fits right in with what we're talking about, the power of Krishna's flute. Here it is.
Singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song.
Krishna, the all-attractive. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know his name is Krishna. He has a lotus smile. And so we run to see him, listen for a while. And there he was, this young boy, with restless lotus eyes,
strumming my pain with his fingers.
Yes, he was.
Singing my life with his words,
Killing us softly with his song. Killing us softly with his song. Changing our whole life in one night. Killing us softly with his song. We all felt so discouraged, our heads lowly bowed, our eyes were filled with tears. He made us cry out loud, and he told us to go back home, while he just kept right on,
strumming my pain with his fingers.
Yes, he was.
Singing my life with his words.
Yes, he was.
Killing me softly with his song.
Killing me softly with his song. Telling our whole life with his words. Killing me softly with his song. He hid himself from us all. We fell into despair. We searched all through the forest. He just wasn't there. Then all at once we saw him with restless lotus eyes,
strumming my pain with his fingers.
Yes, he
Singing my
was.
life with his words.
Yes, he
Killing me
was.
softly with his song.
Killing me softly with his song. Changing my whole life with his words. Killing me softly with his song. Krishna, 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 Rakshama.
La 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 la.
Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam.
Strumming my pain with his fingers.
Yes, he was.
Singing my life with his words.
Yes, he
Killing me
was.
softly with his song.
Killing me softly with his song. Telling my whole life with his words. Killing me softly with his song.
Strumming my pain with his fingers.
Killing my life
with his words.
killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song. Okay, that's today's song. So now we go to part 2 of our session. And I'll, whoa. Not now. That's for later. Okay. So, I guess Krishna told me what song I should do at the end. All right. So, let's go now. Here we go. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this next part is called The Power of Krishna's Flute. In this, I've mixed a little of Chaitanya Charitamrita in with this in order to enhance. Krishna was very expert in playing his flute, and the gopis were captivated by its sound, which was not only attractive to them, but to all living creatures who heard it. Lord Chaitanya once said, "The vibration of Krishna's flute is just like a bird that creates a nest within the ears of the gopis and always remains prominent there, not allowing any other sound to enter. Indeed, the gopis cannot hear anything else, nor are they able to concentrate on anything else, not even to give a suitable reply. Such are the effects of the vibration of Lord Krishna's flute." You might recall, if you have studied the 5 chapters of the Rasa Leela, when Krishna blew the flute, whatever the gopis were doing, they dropped it. Didn't matter what they were doing. If they were eating, they stopped eating, ran. If they were taking care of their husbands, they stopped, immediately ran. If they were bathing, they immediately got dressed, and in hurry they would put the bottom part on top and the top part on the bottom. They went mad as soon as they heard the sound of Krishna's flute. That's how powerful. There's nothing more powerful than the sound of Krishna's flute. Now Prabhupada comments on this excerpt from Chaitanya Charitamrita that I included. The vibration of Krishna's flute is always prominent in the ears of the gopis, and naturally they cannot hear anything else. Constant remembrance of the holy sound of Krishna's flute keeps them enlightened and enlivened, and they do not allow any other sound to enter their ears. Since their attention is fixed on Krishna's flute, They cannot divert their minds to any other subject. In other words, a devotee who has heard the sound of Krishna's flute forgets to talk or hear of any other subject. Now here comes the most important line in today's class. Escuche. The vibration of Krishna's flute is represented by the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. You've heard me say this 1,000,000 times. I'll say it 1,000,000,000 times. I'll repeat it again. This is Prabhupada himself writing in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This vibration of Krishna's flute is represented by the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. What is that? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And still, there are people who refuse to chant. I can't help those people. Listen, what more proof does anybody need? But still, there are stubborn people who refuse to chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Can't help them. This is important. A serious devotee of the Lord who chants and hears this transcendental vibration becomes so accustomed to it that he or she cannot divert one's attention to any subject not related to Krishna's blissful characteristics and paraphernalia. Yes, because when we say Krishna, this means Krishna's name, fame, form, pastimes, entourage, teachings. Anything directly connected with Krishna is on the absolute platform. Let's continue. One of the gopis told one of her friends, the highest perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna and Balaram entering the forest and playing their flutes and tending the cows with their friends. Someday we will see that. One day we will all see that. Prabhupada comments, persons who are constantly engaged in the transcendental meditation of seeing Krishna internally and externally, by thinking of him playing the flute and entering Vrindavan forest, have actually attained the perfection of samadhi. Samadhi or trance means absorption of all the activities of the senses on a particular object. And the gopis indicate that the pastimes of Krishna are the perfection of all meditation and samadhi. So, sometimes people ask us, oh, you ISKCON people, you don't do meditation. Oh, yes, we do. We do meditation, but not your meditation. What do we meditate on? The Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and Krishna's pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is our meditation. And here we see the gopis are on the topmost platform of meditation. So yes, we do meditation in ISKCON. But it's the superior meditation. It's meditation on this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which the sound of Krishna's flute is within it. And we are always thinking of Krishna's name, fame, form, pastimes, entourage, instructions. So we do meditation. It is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that anyone who is always absorbed in the thought of Krishna is the topmost of all yogis. That's the end of chapter 6. Yoginam api sarvesham madgitain antaratmana sraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mata. At the end of chapter 6, Krishna says, in my opinion, not somebody else, but Krishna says, in my opinion, one who's always thinking of me, topmost yogi. So, keep that in mind. Topmost yogi is always thinking of Krishna. Another gopi expressed her opinion that Krishna and Balaram, while tending the cows, appeared just like actors going to play on a dramatic stage. I already mentioned that. Krishna's always playing. Krishna was dressed in yellow garments, Balaram in blue, and they held new twigs of mango tree, peacock feathers, and bunches of flowers in their hands. Recently, somebody asked me the difference between the opulence of Vaikuntha and the opulence of Vrindavan. So yes, in Dwaraka, in Vaikuntha, there is big golden palaces and jewels and all kinds of opulent things. Look at the opulence of Vrindavan. Mango trees, peacock feathers, bunches of flowers. That's their opulence. Simple, sweet, beautiful. They were dressed with garlands of lotus flowers, and they were sometimes singing very sweetly among their friends. Yes, one day you will hear Krishna sing. Just imagine hearing Krishna sing. One gopi told her friend, "How is it that Krishna and Balaram look so beautiful?" Another gopi said, "My dear friend, we cannot even think of his bamboo flute." So that's one of his flutes, is bamboo. One is made of jewels. And there's another kind, I don't know what it's made of, I can't remember. But one is bamboo. What sort of pious activities did it execute so that now it is enjoying the nectar of the lips of Krishna? Prabhupada comments, Krishna sometimes kisses the gopis. Would you like to be kissed by Krishna? I would. That's possible. You just have to come to the gopis' platform. It's not impossible. It's not impossible. Just come up to the gopis' platform. One day you will be kissed by Krishna on the cheek. Therefore, the transcendental nectar of Krishna's lips is available only to the gopis. And Krishna's lips are considered the gopis' property. Therefore, the gopis asked, "What is this? How is it possible that the flute, which is nothing but a bamboo rod, is always engaged enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lips?" Because the flute is engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, the mother and the father of the flute must be happy. Prabhupada comments, the lakes and rivers are considered to be the mothers of the trees because the trees simply live by drinking water. So the waters of the lakes and rivers of Vrindavan were full of happy lotus flowers because the waters were thinking, how is it our son, the bamboo rod, is enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lips? The bamboo trees standing by the banks of the rivers and the lakes were also happy to see their descendants so engaged in the service of Lord Krishna, just as persons who are advanced in knowledge take pleasure in seeing their descendants engage in the service of Lord Krishna. Yes, yesterday I visited one of my longtime Namahat families here in Southern California, and the parents were thanking me profusely that what you have done for their son and daughter is amazing, because now the son and daughter, they've been with me since they were young. Now one's in college, now one is working, and they were thanking me that they have turned out so nice only because of your Namahat program. So I felt very nice hearing such nice things. The trees were overwhelmed with joy and were incessantly yielding honey, which flowed from the beehives hanging on the branches. Sometimes the gopis spoke like this to their friends about Krishna. Dear friends, Our Vrindavan is proclaiming the glories of this entire earth, because this planet is glorified by the lotus footprints of the son of Devaki. And besides that, when Govinda plays his flute, the peacocks immediately become mad. When all the animals and trees and plants, either on the top of Govardhan Hill or in the valley, see the dancing of the peacock, they all stand still and listen to the transcendental sound of the flute with great attention. And we think that this boon is not possible or available on any other planet. Yes, it's available where Krishna is. Although the gopis were village cowherder women and girls, they had knowledge of Krishna. Similarly, one can learn the highest truths simply by hearing the Vedas from authoritative sources. So, we, myself, and others, how do we learn these things? From Prabhupada, from his books. Prabhupada wrote his books just so that we would learn these highest truths. That's why he wrote. Prabhupada did not write his books so he would become famous and rich. No, he wrote them so that people would read and become devotees of Krishna. Then another gopi said, "My dear friends, just see the deer. Although they are dumb animals, they have approached the son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna. And not only are they attracted by the dress of Krishna and Balaram, but as soon as they hear the playing of the flute, the deer, along with their husbands, offer respectful obeisances unto Lord Krishna by looking at him with great affection." Prabhupada comments, the gopis were actually envious of the deer because the deer were able to offer their service to Krishna along with their husbands. The gopis thought themselves not so fortunate because whenever they wanted to go to Krishna, their husbands were not very happy. Yes, the night of the Rasa dance, some of them were checked. They were held back by their fathers and brothers and husbands. So out of complete, utter frustration, those gopis died. They gave up their bodies, and in their spiritual bodies, then they joined the Rasa dance. Nothing can check transcendental life. Nothing. All you have to have is the desire. Nobody can stop you from advancing in Krishna consciousness other than yourself. Because no matter what, in your heart of hearts, you can constantly cry out to Krishna. Constantly think. Nobody can control your thinking. Nobody. Only you can control your thinking. So, always think of Krishna. Nothing can check it. Another gopi said, "My dear friends, Krishna is so nicely dressed that he appears to be the impetus to various kinds of ceremonies held by the women folk. Even the wives of the denizens of heaven become attracted after hearing the transcendental sound of Krishna's flute. Although they are traveling in the air in their airplanes, enjoying the company of their husbands, upon hearing the sound of Krishna's flute, they also immediately become perturbed. Their hair is loosened, and their tight dresses are slackened." Just see, Krishna's sound of Krishna's flute is like Krishna. Invincible, Ajita, invincible. Prabhupada comments, this means the transcendental sound of the flute of Krishna extended to all corners of the universe. Also, it is significant that the gopis knew about the different kinds of airplanes flying in the sky. Another gopi said to her friends, "My dear friends, the cows are also charmed, for as soon as they hear the transcendental sound of the flute of Krishna, It sounds to them like the pouring of nectar, and they immediately spread their long ears just to catch the liquid nectar of the flute. And as for the calves, they are seen with the nipples of their mothers pressed in their mouths, but they cannot suck the milk, for they remain struck with devotion, and tears glide down their eyes, illustrating vividly how they are embracing Krishna heart to heart. Prabhupada comments, these phenomena indicate that even the cows and calves in Vrindavan knew how to cry for Krishna and embrace him heart to heart. Actually, Krishna conscious affection can be culminated in shedding tears from the eyes. A younger gopi then told her mother, "My dear mother, the birds who are looking at Krishna playing on his flute are sitting very attentively on the branches and twigs of different trees, and from their features it appears that they have forgotten everything, and they are not ordinary birds. They are great sages and devotees, and just to hear Krishna's flute, they have appeared in Vrindavan as forest birds." Purport by Prabhupada. Great sages and scholars are interested in Vedic knowledge, but the essence of Vedic knowledge is stated in Bhagavad Gita. Vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedya. True knowledge of the Vedas, Krishna, has to be understood. Through the knowledge of the Vedas, Krishna has to be understood. From the behavior of these birds, it appeared that they must have been great scholars in Vedic knowledge, and that they took to Krishna's transcendental vibration and rejected all other branches of Vedic knowledge. Even the river Yamuna, being desirous to embrace the lotus feet of Krishna, after hearing the transcendental vibration of his flute, broke her fierce waves to flow nicely with lotus flowers in her hands, just to present flowers to Mukunda with deep feeling. Such a nice name of Krishna, Mukunda, one who gives liberation, or more esoteric, one whose face looks like the Kunda flower that is always smiling. The scorching heat of the autumn sunshine. So, we're in autumn. Yes, so this is apropos what we're studying tonight. It's now autumn. The scorching heat of the autumn sunshine was sometimes intolerable. Yes, right here in California, it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's hot, 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 hot. And therefore the clouds in the sky appeared in sympathy above Krishna and Balaram and their boyfriends while they engaged in blowing their flutes. The clouds served as a soothing umbrella over their heads just to make friendship with Krishna. And then there were the wanton Aborigine girls who also became fully satisfied when they smeared their faces and breasts with the dust of Vrindavan, which was reddish from the touch of Krishna's lotus feet. The Aborigine girls had very full breasts, and they were also very lusty. But when their lovers felt their breasts, they were not very satisfied. But when they came out into the midst of the forest, they saw that while Krishna was walking, some of the leaves and creepers of Vrindavan turned reddish from the kumkum powder which fell from Krishna's lotus feet. Krishna's lotus feet were held by the gopis on their breasts, which were also smeared with kumkum powder. But when Krishna traveled in the Vrindavan forest with Balaram and his boyfriends, this reddish powder fell on the ground of the Vrindavan forest. And so the lusty Aborigine girls, while looking toward Krishna playing his flute, saw the reddish kumkum on the ground and immediately took it and smeared it all over their faces. And in this way, then they became fully satisfied, although they were not satisfied with their lovers. Prabhupada's purport is very instructive for all of us. Prabhupada says, therefore, all material lusty desires can be immediately satisfied if one comes into contact with Krishna consciousness. And that is my personal experience. Back in 1973, I joined Prabhupada's movement and I became in contact with Krishna consciousness. And I can say now, after more than 45 years, I am fully satisfied by coming in contact with Krishna. Then another gopi began to praise the unique position of Govardhan Hill. Oh, how fortunate is this Govardhan Hill, for it is enjoying the association of Lord Krishna and Balaram, who are accustomed to walk on it. Thus, Govardhan is always in touch with the lotus feet of Krishna. And because Govardhan Hill is so obliged to Lord Krishna and Balaram, it is supplying different kinds of fruits, roots, and herbs, as well as very pleasing crystal waters from its lake in presentation to Lord Krishna. Prabhupada comments, the best presentation offered by Govardhan Hill, however, was newly grown grass for the cows and calves. Govardhan Hill knew how to please Lord Krishna by pleasing his most beloved associates, the cows and cowherder boys. Finally, another gopi said that everything appeared wonderful when Krishna and Balaram traveled in the forest of Vrindavan, playing their flutes and making intimate friendship with all kinds of moving and non-moving living creatures. When Krishna and Balaram played on their transcendental flutes, the moving creatures became stunned and stopped their activities, and the non-moving living creatures, like trees and plants, also began to shiver. Come out of the darkness and into the light. You know you're in Maya, so get up and fight and admit to yourself what you're doing ain't right. Surrender to Krishna with all of your might. This world is just like a desert, not even one drop of water I can find. Although I try so very hard, I just can't achieve peace of mind. So don't play with life, it's not a game. Slay with the knife of God's holy name. You want to enjoy, but haven't you learned? Heaven can't be bought, it has to be earned. It has to be earned. It has to be earned. Come out of darkness into the light. The man in the mirror is to blame for your plight. Chant Hare Krishna with all of your might. And always remember that to preach means to fight. Remember that, Sri Nampada. To preach means to fight. Haribol. All glories to the devotees of Santiago, my favorite home away from home. Haribol. So don't play with life, it's not a game. Slay with the knife of God's holy name. You want to enjoy, But haven't you learned? Heaven can't be bought. It has to be earned. It has to be earned. It has to be earned. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You're doing it right. Surrender to Krishna with all of your might. Now just admit to yourself what you're doing ain't right. Surrender to Krishna with all of your might. Let's all chant together. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. Now, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sing with me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, rock on, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Get into it, dance, sing, Bangada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You got the chant, you got the chant. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Let's go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Woo! Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Surrender to Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Help me, Krishna. Help me, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Help me, Krishna. Come on. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Help me, Krishna. Help me. Help me. So, coming soon, I can't say exactly when, but coming soon, I will have a new version, recorded version of Help Me Krishna, that we will have like this song with music, and we'll do that, but it is going to take a while to perfect it. Thank you very much. May Krishna bless all of you. And I'll see you next month. And let me give and I see Davina finally joined us. Very good, Davina. Haribol Varsha. Very nice. So let's give final blessings to everyone. Yes, I see you, Ranjit. And Ria, I see you. Final blessings. Very good, Madan. All right. May Krishna bless you, protect you, maintain you. I'll see you next month. Hare Hare Bo.